Hi there, my name is John Stevens, pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we're part of the ELCA. And welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take a look at the lectionary text. We tie them to an item from the Dollar Tree. This is for the 22nd Sunday after Pentecost, and we're looking at the gospel lesson out of Mark, where the disciples are talking to one another, and they ask Jesus. Jesus says, "Hey, what are you talking about?" They say, "We want you to give us whatever we ask." And Jesus says, "Okay, what's that?" And they say, "We want to sit on your right and your left." And Jesus says, "That's not really for you to ask. Plus, you don't know what you're asking for." Then he goes in to describe what it means to be great, that we are called to be a servant of all. And I just love, the thing I like about this gospel lesson is Jesus is taking how we view things and turning it on its head. He changes the angle of how we look at something. He says, you think this is what it means to be great? What it means to be great is when we serve one another, when we are sent out and we are to be servants of one another. And I love that song, "Lord, will you let me be your servant?" And so these images about how we look at things. And so the item I'm actually using for the Dollar Tree dollar sermon is a dollar. Yeah, so a dollar bill is what we're going to be using, and it's the idea of how we look at things, how that can change how we see the world. And when we look at the world the way Jesus wants us to look at the world, and when we look at greatness and how Jesus wants us to look at greatness, that can change. Rather than being strong, powerful, we are called to be servants, and we are called, and in that is a way of being great and looking at greatness. So, we're using the dollar bill, and we are going to make George Washington smile. It's an optical illusion, and if you look here, let's see here. You can see here George Washington is frowning, and yet if I turn this like this, you will see him smile. Come back here like this, frown, but just by changing the way we look at things, we see George Washington smile. Now, the way to do that is, you can do it without just a straight dollar bill, but the easiest way to do this is to take your dollar bill and make a crease in his right eye, and then you make another crease in his left eye, and then you create a valley by pinching the two creases together. So you get this concurve, you get this curve in there, and that helps stress the change of the smile. And using that as just an illustration about when we look at things in a different way, it can change how we see things. And so Jesus changes the way we look at the world. That when we look at the world cross-eyed, if you will, through the lens of the cross, we see things differently, and God then sends us to act differently. And so I'm using this as when we just changing the angle of how we look at things. So that's the hook, if you will, to then talk about that Jesus changes the way we look at the word great and what it means to be great, and that we are called to serve one another. All right, I hope that can be a springboard for your own thinking as you look at your children's sermon. And as always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a fantastic week.